The morning mist rolled off Clearwater Lake as Dr. Sarah Mitchell stepped onto the weathered dock, her heels clicking against the wooden planks. Behind her, two corporate representatives in matching navy blazers followed, their expensive shoes slipping slightly on the damp surface. "Dr. Mitchell, we appreciate you meeting with us," the lead representative said, adjusting his clipboard against the lake breeze. "I'm James Crawford from Apex Development Corporation." Sarah turned, her blonde hair catching the morning light as she gestured toward the floating research station. "This is my life's work, Mr. Crawford. 20 years of marine biology research, and you want to turn it into a luxury resort?" The research station bobbed gently in the calm water, its modest wooden structure housing thousands of hours of scientific data and equipment worth over $5 million. Solar panels gleamed on the roof, and monitoring equipment hummed quietly in the background. The $5 million research base represented decades of careful investment in understanding this pristine ecosystem. Crawford smiled, the kind of smile that didn't reach his eyes. "We understand your attachment, Doctor. But our development plans will bring significant economic benefits to this area. Tourism, jobs, revenue." "Revenue," Sarah repeated, shaking her head. "This lake ecosystem is irreplaceable. The fish migration patterns I've been tracking, the water quality studies, the breeding programs, you can't put a price on that." The second representative, a woman with sharp features and a no-nonsense expression, stepped forward. "Actually, Dr. Mitchell, we can. Our offer is more than generous, $3 million for immediate relocation." Sarah's jaw tightened. "The research station isn't for sale. This is protected scientific land. I've owned this place through proper channels for 2 decades. Crawford consulted his clipboard, running a finger down what appeared to be official documentation. "I'm afraid there's been a change in the land status. The county has reclassified this area for mixed-use development." "That's impossible," Sarah said, her voice steady but her hands clenching at her sides. "I have permits, environmental protections, research grants that guarantee, this has been my whole life." "Permits can be revoked," the female representative interrupted. "Especially when public safety is concerned." Sarah stared at them, processing the implications. Public safety? This station has operated safely for 2 decades. Common sense would tell you that established research facilities don't suddenly become dangerous. Crawford tapped his clipboard with deliberate precision. The sound echoed across the water like a gavel. "Our preliminary inspection identified several violations. Outdated electrical systems, inadequate waste management, questionable structural integrity." The accusation hit like a physical blow. Sarah had maintained the station meticulously, updating systems regularly and passing every inspection. "Show me those reports." He tapped the paper, "But I want to see the actual documentation." "They're being processed," Crawford said smoothly. "In the meantime, we need to discuss transition timelines." A speedboat approached from across the lake, carrying more people in business attire. Sarah recognized the calculated timing. This wasn't a negotiation, it was a coordinated takeover. The engine noise grew louder as it approached, idling at the bend before making its final approach. "You planned this," she said, her scientist's mind putting together the pattern. "The county reclassification, the safety violations, the generous offer, it's all connected." The female representative smiled coldly. "Business is about planning, Doctor. We've invested considerable resources in this project." Sarah pulled out her phone and began recording. "Then you won't mind explaining your methods on camera." Crawford's confident demeanor flickered. "There's no need for dramatics. This is a simple real estate transaction." "Simple?" Sarah's voice rose slightly. "You're trying to steal 20 years of research and destroy a protected ecosystem." The speedboat docked, and 3 more corporate representatives disembarked, carrying surveying equipment and cameras. They spread out along the dock like pieces on a chessboard. One man immediately began measuring distances between the dock and the research station, while another started photographing everything from multiple Angles. Dr. Mitchell, Crawford tried again, his voice taking on a patronizing tone, you're being emotional. From a business perspective don't. Sarah cut him off. Don't you dare dismiss my work as emotional. I've published 43 peer-reviewed papers based on research from this station. Universities worldwide reference my data. One of the new arrivals, a man with an expensive camera, began photographing the research station from multiple angles. Sarah noticed he was focusing on minor maintenance issues, a loose board here, weathered paint there. Every natural sign of a working facility was being documented as evidence of neglect. Creating your evidence, she asked pointedly. The photographer paused, glancing nervously at Crawford. The camera lowered slightly, and Sarah caught the uncertainty in his expression. We're documenting current conditions, Crawford said. Due diligence. Sarah stepped closer to the photographer, her phone still recording. Due diligence would involve consulting with the scientist who's maintained this facility for 20 years. Due diligence would respect existing permits and environmental protections. The photographer shifted uncomfortably, clearly not expecting to be confronted about his methods. His expensive equipment suddenly felt heavy in his hands. The female representative opened a leather portfolio with practiced efficiency. Dr. Mitchell, we have preliminary approval for emergency closure based on safety concerns. Show me the inspector's credentials, Sarah demanded. Show me the specific violations. Show me anything official that isn't printed on your corporate letterhead. That did not sound like official protocol. Crawford exchanged glances with his colleagues. The morning confidence was cracking like ice under spring sun. A second boat appeared on the horizon, this one moving faster, with official markings. Sarah felt a surge of relief. She'd called the county environmental office before the meeting, and they were sending someone to verify any claims about permit changes. Expecting someone? Crawford asked, noticing her smile. Common sense, Sarah replied. Something that seems to be in short supply this morning. The environmental office boat cut through the water with purpose, its wake spreading behind it like a declaration of authority. The corporate team watched nervously as the official vessel approached. The environmental office boat pulled alongside the dock, and Inspector Tom Rodriguez stepped out, his uniform crisp and his expression serious. Morning, Dr. Mitchell. Got your call about permit issues. Crawford stepped forward, clipboard raised like a shield. Inspector Rodriguez, I'm James Crawford from Apex Development. We're handling the transition here. Rodriguez barely glanced at him, his attention focused on the research station and its clearly maintained condition. Transition? I have no record of any permit changes for this research station. The female representative tried to smile, her portfolio clutched tighter against her chest. There may have been a communication delay. We have documentation from the county? Rodriguez asked. His voice carried the weight of someone who knew exactly what documentation should exist. Because I am the county environmental inspector for this sector, and I haven't signed off on anything. Sarah stepped beside Rodriguez, her phone camera still capturing everything. The morning light hit the water just right, making the research station look particularly well-maintained and official. They claim there are safety violations requiring immediate closure. Rodriguez looked around the well-maintained station, noting the updated safety equipment and proper waste management systems he'd approved just 6 months ago. His trained eye took in the solar panels, the proper waste containment, the clearly marked emergency equipment. What violations? He asked, his tone suggesting he already knew the answer. Crawford consulted his clipboard, but the confidence was gone. His finger traced the same lines he'd read earlier, but now they seemed less convincing. Electrical systems, structural concerns. I certified this station's electrical work last spring, Rodriguez said firmly. The structural assessment was updated in July. Who conducted these alleged inspections? Silence stretched across the dock like the morning mist. Even the lake seemed to hold its breath, waiting for an answer that wouldn't come. I'm Recording this interaction for my research logs, Sarah announced. Mr. Crawford, would you like to explain to Inspector Rodriguez how your preliminary inspection identified violations that don't exist? The photographer lowered his camera completely now. The surveying team stopped measuring. Even the gentle lapping of water against the dock seemed louder in the sudden quiet. Crawford tried one more approach, his voice losing its professional polish. Doctor, our offer is time-sensitive. The development will proceed with or without your cooperation. Rodriguez stepped forward, his badge catching the morning sunlight. Mr. Crawford, are you threatening a permit holder in my presence? I'm offering a business opportunity, Crawford said, but his voice lacked conviction. The corporate facade was crumbling faster than sand castles at high tide. By falsifying safety reports and claiming authority you don't have. Sarah added, her scientist's precision cutting through the corporate doublespeak. The inspector pulled out his radio, the device crackling to life. I'm calling the sheriff. Impersonating county officials is a serious offense. The corporate team began edging toward their boats like water finding the fastest way downhill. Their expensive equipment suddenly seemed burdensome, and their confident postures deflated. There's no need for law enforcement, Crawford said quickly. This was simply a miscommunication. Was it? Sarah asked. She turned to Inspector Rodriguez, her voice steady and clear. They specifically claimed the county had reclassified this land for development. Rodriguez's expression hardened like concrete setting. That would require environmental impact studies, public hearings, and my direct approval. None of which have happened. A sheriff's boat appeared around the bend, its wake cutting through the calm water with official purpose. The sound of its engine carried across the lake like a low growl of approaching justice. Crawford made a decision. We'll be in touch, Dr. Mitchell. Through proper channels. The proper channel is respecting existing permits and following actual legal procedures, she replied, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had spent decades navigating both scientific and bureaucratic waters. The corporate team retreated to their boats with undignified haste. The photographer forgot his tripod in his rush to escape. The surveying equipment was hastily packed, measurements abandoned mid-calculation. The female representative dropped her portfolio, sending papers scattering across the dock like leaves in a sudden wind. Sarah bent to help gather the papers, curiosity overcoming her anger. The documents revealed the scope of their planning, detailed resort blueprints, financial projections, and timeline charts that assumed her research station would be gone by autumn. Interesting reading? Rodriguez asked, looking over her shoulder at the scattered corporate dreams. They've been planning this for months, Sarah said, studying the dates and projections. Look at these timelines. They expected to have me out by now. Sheriff Deputy Mark Harrison arrived as the corporate boats retreated across the lake, their engines whining like frustrated wasps. He listened to Rodriguez's report, took Sarah's recorded evidence, and documented the scattered papers with the thoroughness of someone who'd seen corporate overreach before. We'll investigate the false permit claims, Harrison said, his pen moving steadily across official forms. And I'll have a word with county planning about how these folks got their information. As the official boats prepared to depart, Rodriguez turned to Sarah. Doctor, your permits are solid. Your research station protects value, environmental value that can't be measured in corporate spreadsheets. Sarah felt the tension of the morning finally beginning to ease. Thank you for responding so quickly. Part of the job, Rodriguez replied. Though I have to say, it's refreshing to deal with someone who actually follows proper procedures. As the official boats departed, Sarah stood alone on her dock, looking at the research station that had been her second home for 2 decades. The morning's confrontation left her emotionally drained but professionally vindicated. Her phone buzzed with a text from Dr. James Chen at the university. Sarah, heard through the grapevine someone's pressuring you about the station. The dean wants you to know we're prepared to defend the research agreement in court if necessary. She smiled, typing back, thanks, James. I think we sent a clear message today. The lake returned to its peaceful morning rhythm. Fish jumped near the station's water intake, their splashes creating expanding circles on the calm surface. A blue heron landed on the dock railing, surveying the water with the patience of a creature that understood the value of careful observation. The monitoring equipment hummed its familiar song, a technological symphony that had become the soundtrack of Sarah's professional life. Sarah walked to the end of the dock and knelt beside the water, testing the temperature and pH levels as she had every morning for 20 years. The lake was healthy, the ecosystem stable, the research continuing despite corporate interference. Her whole life was here, not just her career, but her purpose. The research station represented more than professional achievement, it was a testament to the power of persistent, careful science in the face of commercial pressure. As she headed back to the research station, Sarah noticed a small boat approaching from the main marina. This one carried a familiar figure, Jake Morrison, the lake's oldest fishing guide and unofficial historian. Heard there was some excitement this morning, Jake called out as he pulled alongside the dock. Nothing we couldn't handle, Sarah replied. Though I suspect they'll be back. Jake tied off his boat and stepped onto the dock with the practiced ease of someone who'd spent decades navigating these waters. Sarah, I've been fishing this lake for 40 years. Before you came here, the fish populations were declining, the water quality was getting worse every year. Your work saved this place. She felt tears threatening but kept her voice steady. The research protects itself, Jake. The data doesn't lie. No, he agreed, but sometimes people try to ignore it. If they come back, you call me. You call all of us. This lake belongs to everyone who respects it. As Jake's boat disappeared around the far shore, Sarah understood something important. She wasn't fighting this battle alone. The research station represented more than her career, it was a symbol of choosing science over profit, preservation over development. She climbed the steps to her floating laboratory, surrounded by 2 decades of careful observation and documentation. The morning sun streamed through the windows, illuminating charts and graphs that told the story of a lake restored to health. Her computer showed new data from overnight monitoring. The fish counts were holding steady. Water temperature remained optimal. The ecosystem her work had helped preserve was thriving despite the morning's corporate assault. Sarah opened her research log and began typing, Day 7305 at Clearwater Lake Research Station. Corporate pressure to relocate unsuccessful. Environmental protection protocols holding. Research continues. She paused, then added, Note, local support network proved invaluable. Community understands research value extends beyond monetary considerations. Outside her window, the lake stretched toward the horizon, its surface now mirror-smooth in the calm morning air. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them. The research station would remain exactly where it belonged, at the heart of the ecosystem it was built to protect. Some fights are worth having. Some ground is worth holding. Some work is too important to abandon for corporate convenience. Dr. Sarah Mitchell understood all of this as she returned to the work that had defined her life. The lake had found its guardian, and the guardian had found her strength in the face of those who would reduce decades of scientific achievement to mere numbers on a development spreadsheet.